Greetings, citizens of planet Earth. Welcome back to another episode of the Mystery Dome. Today we will be talking about a topic that I've been avoiding for a while, but I simply cannot anymore. That topic is the coronavirus. Now, the coronavirus is a virus that sprung up in Wuhan, China, several weeks ago, as I'm sure you already know. It has made the headlines recently because it is spreading around the world and many people are getting infected. And many people have taken that to be the coronapocalypse or something like that. And they've been stocking up like it's the zombie apocalypse or something. Some Costco's have run out of toilet paper. I mean, that's insane. How do you run out of toilet paper? But people often don't realize that the coronavirus isn't the end of the world. It's not a deadly disease. Well, it is a deadly disease for many people, but for people with good immune systems, it's not really a problem. It's just the people that are weaker that cannot handle it. It's basically just like the flu, but just a little different. It's not exactly like the flu, but it's pretty close. It's close enough that it's not really productive to call it something completely different. As I'm also sure you already know, the Ebola virus scare, which was 6 years ago in 2014, swept through the world about, oh my gosh, we're all going to die from Ebola. But it really didn't spread all that much. I mean, it covered a little bit of Africa, but it didn't really go beyond that. It just kind of stayed. It did kill a few people, but it just kind of wore off after a little while. And I say that because I feel like we're having that kind of trend going on where every few years there's a big epidemic scare where people think we're all going to die because of some virus, but it ends up being nothing. Now, a lot of superstitious people and a lot of conspiracy theorists have stated that every 100 years or so there is a massive plague that wipes out hundreds of millions of people. Of course, there was a plague in the year 1720. There was a major plague in the year 1820. There was one around the year 1920. So they believe that it's only fair that there would be one in 2020, and they believe that plague is the coronavirus. And this is just a bunch of conspiracy theory crap. It's not real. I mean, it's a coincidence, sure, but if you look at the actual specific numbers, it's not every 100 years. It's around the 20 mark, but not exactly. And also, we've had several plagues that are extremely large, like the bubonic plague, the actual plague, that struck in the mid-14th century, nowhere around the 20 mark. And many other plagues have existed outside of that 20 mark range, so people are just looking at the 20s, noticing that there's a plague there, and just assuming that means that every 100 years there's the end of the world, basically. Even though we have plagues like that in between the 20s all the time. So that is where that stands. But essentially, the coronavirus just isn't that big a deal. As long as you're washing your hands and you're healthy, the coronavirus isn't really a threat to you, especially if you've gotten your flu shot. The coronavirus is similar enough to the flu that if you get your flu shot, you have more of an immunity against the coronavirus as well. So as long as you get your flu shot, you're good to go. And it really frustrates me when the fear-mongering causes things to get blown up out of proportion. And I feel a lot of corporations are using this coronavirus thing to sell their products. They're profiting off of fear is what they're doing. They're profiting off of fear, and that's ruining the productivity of our scientists, and it's causing us to fall apart. And I know that, yes, it is bad, but it's not nearly as bad as some of the other plagues we've experienced, even in the last 50 years or so. And, yeah. But I'm also not saying that it's a complete hoax. I'm not saying that it's something that is just a false claim. That's what Trump claims, is that it's just a hoax. It's not a hoax. The coronavirus is a real thing, but it's just not that serious. And it's really hard to try and fit in between the two extremes, because you're not going to get supported by anybody on either side. There's the side that thinks that coronavirus is going to kill everyone, and there's the side that thinks the coronavirus is a hoax. But the truth is actually in the middle. And the problem is, most people are going to the extremes. So, if you feel you've gone to one of those extremes, please do some research using credible sources and think for yourself, and just realize that the truth may not be what you think. So this will wrap up our episode of the Mystery Dome. I hope you enjoyed. So remember, do some research and do not freak out. Do not panic. Panicking never helps. Okay, I will see you next week on another episode of the Mystery Dome.